Okay, Judy, just so you know, we're recording and we are live. And we have,
Okay.
let's see, 2 attendees. We have Tracy Watson and Tiffany
good.
here. And we have Madeline and you and Andy. Hi,
Good.
Madeline.
Hello.
Oh, and then I see Suzanne and Karen are in the general public list, so I'll promote them.
Okay. Karen and Suzanne, good.
Yep. So it looks like we're all here except we're waiting for the mayor. And I have allowed Tiffany and Tracy to talk when they're ready.
Hey, all.
Hello.
Hello.
So since we do have a limited amount of time, should we get started, you think?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the October 15th, 2020 meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust. I'm Judy Timon. We have Madeline Nash, Karen Weiner, Suzanne Cameron, and from the staff, Caitlin Sullivan and Andy Port. And first item on the agenda is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program update. And we do have Tiffany Nigro here from Pettingill. And we did receive Tiffany's report plus email attachment. So yeah, Tiffany, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. So we have assisted 10 households to date, including 3 elders, 10 adults, and 4 children, and the total amount of $25,434. We have 11 pending applications. There was more at the previous meeting. Some rental arrearages have been resolved, either by the tenant paying off because they were smaller amounts, so no longer needing assistance at this time. There are a few, though, that are still on the list that have arrearages that are quite high beyond the threshold of Newburyport rental assistance, and/or so then we've encouraged them to apply for RAFT. And we've also reached out to landlords regarding forgiveness, and at this point, there has been no forgiveness from any landlords. So we're just, trying to, again, encourage the client to follow through once the moratorium is lifted, because then there could be action taken. There is one that we're working closely with, because prior to the COVID, she had just signed a new lease, and unfortunately is having trouble maintaining month to month due to lack of income. So we're working at seeing, what inventory is out there. It's pretty stagnant because people are staying in place because of the moratorium. So there's nothing that is affordable at this time. Obviously she's wanting to stay local. She does have a child, but just educating that may not be a possibility due to affordable inventory in the area. So, and then I did send an email that we do have a few. I know this came up last time. There were 2 applicants that aren't COVID specific. One was due to a medical that they're in arrearages, and another one was due to a divorce, some financial strains from that, and has been chipping away but hasn't been able to bring the arrearage up to date. So, and then there are 2 that just came in over the past couple weeks. They're almost there. We're just waiting for some landlord verification information. There was one that is Portuguese speaking, so we're working with the translator, and we sent out a application that was in Portuguese. So that's moving forward. That monthly rent though is above the threshold. It's a $23.50. So we're looking to again see what the client can afford. What Newburyport Rental Assistance Program can contribute, and if there's some additional matching funds from another grant that we have to help keep them stabilized. So that's a quick update.
Tiffany, I have a question,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you probably have thought of this, but I can understand why a lot of landlords aren't so keen on actual forgiveness. But what about payment plans?
Right. So unfortunately, yes. I mean, some do accept payment plans. The two that are very far behind, one of them has not really showed any good faith of paying at all. So, we haven't made any commitments on this end to even in place because, obviously there was some funding coming in through unemployment. And there was no.
Tiffany, I can't hear you anymore. I don't know if it's on my end.
It's kind of fading in and out.
I'm sorry. So there was no good faith on the tenant's end to pay any type of payment plan or even working with the landlord to make a payment. So at this point, the landlord wasn't even willing to accept a payment. They I think are probably waiting toward the moratorium because they were not renewing the lease. So we really were encouraging this client to follow through with Raft to see, if and what they qualified for. Again, we educated them to have a payment plan, to show good faith, to make some payments, but that just hasn't happened. And then the other one that we were talking about for forgiveness has been the work is more in the artist world, and the resident pays when they can. So has shown good faith. So the landlord is willing to work with this client, but again is pretty far in arrears. So again, trying to get them to complete the Raft application. So again, we can look at seeing if we could cost share to get the resident back up to date.
So I guess the other question we have to consider is the one you posed with regard to the non-COVID related applications. So anyone want to chime in on that?
I didn't know that we had sort of a policy that it needed to be COVID related. I mean, I can see how that makes sense, but I didn't know. I was sort of curious about that when I was looking at the spreadsheet. I don't remember discussing that, if they're eligible or not eligible, because whether or not it's COVID related. Is that something we've talked about?
I think.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I thought
Go
we
ahead.
had, and it was more, that's why we were setting up an emergency program because.
Right, well, absolutely. I mean, that's the rationale. I just didn't know if we'd had that.
Yeah, I definitely
criteria.
remember that in prior conversations. This is Andy, sorry.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge that Donna Holiday is here. I saw Donna's
Okay.
name here. Yeah, it was my understanding that this was COVID related.
Can I just ask one thing? I'm sorry, I had to jump
Sure.
out for a second, so I'm
Sure.
sorry if this has already been asked, but we know that eviction moratorium is expiring on Saturday. And I'm wondering if that will have, I mean, it's disappointing to me to see that we still have $74,000 left in this account. I think we all expected it to be used much more quickly than it is, but I'm wondering if that might make a difference with the moratorium, on evictions expiring on Saturday. I don't know if anybody's heard anything about that, or if Tiffany, if you've heard any, possibility of an increase in requests as a result of that. I mean, do you see obstacles to why people aren't taking advantage of this?
I mean, I know that the city's done, press releases about it. We have as well. We've worked with Newburyport Youth Services and local food pantries to, disseminate information about if they're in need. We have financial assistance. We have really, some of these applications that are on hold. It's just the follow through. We're calling, we're emailing. The clients can't seem to gather all the information that's needed, and some of it is the landlord that we're still waiting for at this point. So it may be that that there is quite an influx once that moratorium is lifted, that that people start getting notices and then they start to panic. I don't know if that was a false sense of security for residents that felt like, okay, well, I'm not going to be evicted, but they were still liable to pay, and that's where we're educating. It's not a forgiveness. They're still liable to have to pay that back rent.
This is Andy. We actually have a similar pattern with the small business relief grants right now. My guess is that we'll see more of them in the coming months, depending on how far folks are behind the relief assistance that's been coming from other places, whether that be the moratorium or funds. And we've also seen less than what we expected in applications thus far.
We're also going to be hitting a very bumpy road with more job losses. We're seeing businesses closing here in the city left and right. That's happening everywhere. I think I feel fine with the fact that we still have money left, because I think our demand is going to grow all that much. RAFT, the funding for RAFT is increasing exponentially, although the rules around getting RAFT will change a little bit. But there will be a lot of funding available through the state as well.
I heard that they're going to try to make the application process a little easier.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. They're basically, they're building the boat while they're rowing down the river right now with this new program. So I think it's going to be a little bit until they settle in.
And also, I heard they added quite a bit of staff to handle the applications and to process.
Yeah.
That's what Ellie Davis told me.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good news is there's more funding. The bad news is, while you say there's a lot of funding, Suzanne, I think it's going to go quickly. I mean, like the city of Chelsea, the cases they have could use 10% of it, like that.
Yeah, and we don't know where the allocations are going to land either.
Right. But I do think, Donna, to your point, I think definitely once the 14-day notices go out, people who've maybe been sort of putting their head in the sand, kind of not, kind of afraid of how to deal with things, are going to feel forced to take some action. So I think we're going to see a lot more applications.
And I can talk to Sierra, our development director, to put another posting out just to remind Newburyport residents that this funding is available, specifically when, just so it coincides with the moratorium being lifted. I haven't heard anything about the CDC moratorium, maybe about that protecting us locally. It's going to be time as well, like the infrastructure of the the court system can't handle everyone going to court at the same time. So it's going to be months to come that, you know, people are brought to court that they're actually being asked to vacate. So I'm hoping in the meantime that we can, you know, get these applications processed, get these families, individuals and families, all the paperwork together and working with these landlords. Because the landlords are going to be faced with paying the price that they're getting nothing versus something.
And I did mention again, I did my, you know, public service Thursday, 4 o'clock announcement, and I did mention it again today that we still have, you know, sufficient funds available. We want to help. Please reach out, go to our website, go to Pettingill House website. You know, this is, we're here to help anybody for up to 3 months who needs help with their residential rent. So, you know, we keep at it. I did it on the local pulse again when I was on there on Saturday morning. So you know, every opportunity I can, I try to get this out there. So,
Donna, excuse me, can we get a couple of social, like either Facebook, Instagram, and on your page or on the city's page, maybe talking about we've helped X number of families so far during the crisis. Don't forget, we're here for you. You know, something to that. And those, you know, the people, nice people of Newburyport and all those groups will pick up on it. And that might be, that's how the news spreads.
Yep. Hi, it's Caitlin. I've been talking with the Mayor's Chief of Staff, Matt Coogan, and he is good about putting social media updates on the city's accounts. I also have spoken with him about placing another public service announcement. I think Suzanne, at the last meeting, you mentioned that might be helpful, you know, to let people know that there's still funding available and that we've assisted, you know, a bunch of households. And also I was speaking with the Chief of Staff about getting some, you know, hard copy flyers and going around and putting them in places like laundromats or the grocery store or other places like that, so we can kind of get some hard copies out there so people can see those.
Good. That sounds good. Yeah.
Tiffany, I had one quick question. You mentioned something about a $2,300 rent limit. I'm just not clear on what you meant.
Yeah, so one of the recent applications, yeah, the rent was $2,300 per month. So like I said, that was above and beyond the threshold. So we're going to be evaluate like what the resident themselves can pay, hopefully that 30%, and then using Newburyport rental assistance funds for that specific month, and then do a cost share with another grant that we have.
We don't do, I'm sorry to sound so ignorant. Do we have a rent limit for this program? Like, did we say?
Yeah, per month.
Well, we have an amount per month.
Cap.
Yeah, but couldn't we make I guess what you're saying is we could make a contribution towards that 2,300.
Right. So our parameters were that we were asking the applicant to pay a certain percentage, but I don't think we had any kind of limit on what their actual rent was. Right. I mean, that's kind of a number we can't control.
Or it's only income driven, right? It's
Yes.
80,
yeah. Yep. Income. Yep. Yep. So getting back to Tiffany's question with regard to the non-COVID related applications, we have 2 of those.
I think we're opening a big window with, and I hate, as much as I hate to say no, I just think then. Yeah.
Can you just quickly tell me why they're non-COVID related? Or
Yep. One was working, never lost employment, has just carried forward some arrearage due to a divorce. And one has a medical, receives disability, Social Security, but was also working and is on subsidized rent, but the rent will not change until the following month. So we'll have some arrearage because of she was out of work due to her medical. She was not going back to work, but you have 30 days till it adjusts.
So if that person's has a subsidy, it should be I'm guessing it's a pretty relatively small amount, right?
It is, yeah, so it's a small amount. Yeah, it's around $613 per month. It's just that it takes 30 days to adjust to a lower amount. Yes.
I guess my feeling
That
is,
was,
sorry, go ahead, Tiffany.
no, and I know that was brought up last time, that it was like maybe opening up a can of worms if it's non-COVID, but you said just to bring them forward, which I am, and I totally understand that if the grant is still, moving forward, just COVID specific.
We're going to get into discrimination issues if we go down this road. I just think it's, now what if the next person comes and we say no? Well, I heard, you know what I mean? I just feel like it's.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, hopefully RAFT is there for them or some other resources, but I feel like we opened this as a COVID related thing, and it opens a can of worms if we don't keep that criteria.
That was my thought as well.
I agree. You set criteria, you can't shift gears halfway through. It gets
But
too
thank you for bringing them up, Tiffany, because it's good to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so do we have anything else for Tiffany? Or Tiffany, do you have anything else you want to ask us?
No, I don't have any questions on this end.
Okay,
Thank you, Tiffany.
good. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I just ask one? I know we've talked about the difficulty with applying through RAFT. Is that getting easier? Or is that something, what is the process now for Pettingill? Are you working with another nonprofit that's helping you with this, or has it gotten easier? Or?
So CTI, like Community Action, will assist, but they're not the ones that approve it. Everything goes through CTI for final approval. But like Sue Cameron was saying, that they're trying to streamline the process again. So they're trying to make the application even easier. I know that there was there were some new updates. I haven't received them yet. So I put a call into Bob Gould at Community Action to see what those updates were. Again, I know one was the increase in funding. So, I think definitely the committee an update as soon as I find out, just to keep everyone abreast of what's happening.
So Community Action helps the applicant with the actual application. Is that right?
If they follow through, yes.
Yeah.
But
And then it goes to
landlord,
CTI.
yeah. And again, the landlord is part of that application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Good. Good. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let's thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
All right, so we have an update from Tracy Watson, our Newburyport Housing Authority Director.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see everybody, and thank you for inviting me tonight, because I did want to update everyone, basically, as I had explained, that our main update this evening is really in regards to the Newburyport Affordable Housing Corporation. As many of you know, over the course of the four and a half years I've been in the city, we've obviously worked with them, but our main goal was to move towards the housing authority actually having control over the corporation. And I am pleased to announce we are basically there. We will have, once the Unfortunately, tax returns were never filed, and the nonprofit status was lost. It'll all be reinstated. We have worked really hard over the last couple of years to get all of the financial information and everything that we need, working with, of course, our lenders and the state, as well as the current board, to put everything into place. So we have filed with the federal government to have the nonprofit status reinstated, and we will be filing all outstanding taxes. And I'm hoping, worst case scenario, by the end of January 2021, that everything should be reinstated. But currently, both boards have already voted. It will now become an actual part of the Newburyport Housing Authority. We will have a mirror board. We're hoping as we move forward in the future, that it becomes our development arm, and then we can work with partners throughout the city, outside of the city. And, you know, it really opens up a wonderful opportunity for the Housing Authority. And again, long time coming, but the light at the end of the tunnel is actually here. So the properties will become, we will continue to function as Newburyport Affordable Housing Corp., but it will be under the umbrella of the Newburyport Housing Authority. That's basically the biggest update I have for everybody.
That's great.
Yeah, we're really happy about it. Even even with COVID, my fall at the beginning of the year, as I said, it's been a long time coming, but we are there, and I am really excited about it. Really excited about it.
Will this entity have its own separate board?
It will be a mirror board. The bylaws have been rewritten. So the Newburyport Affordable Housing, Newburyport Housing Authority Board will be mirrored on the Newburyport Affordable Housing Corp. They will have their own meetings and what have you, but it'll be a mirror board. So as the boards change, it'll stay within the Housing Authority, under the Housing Authority umbrella. It will not be a separate entity.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I misunderstood that. By mirror board, Tracy, you mean that it's not the same individuals, it's different individuals?
No, it's the same individuals.
Oh, it's the same
board.
individuals.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how we were able to get the agreement through DHCD and the current lenders is
I
that.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tracy, what kind of shape is the property in?
They're in.
I know it's multiple properties.
There's two. They're in fantastic shape. They've been, I mean, not to toot our own horn, but they've been managed by the Housing Authority for a number of years. The properties are in great shape. They're in good standing financially. We are very consistent with our inspections, as well as any preventative maintenance and what have you. The Housing Authority and NAHC are currently they're project-based Section 8s. So we're in contract as the management agent. So they've been managed all these years by the Housing Authority. The problem always laid at the feet of the board, which actually really didn't exist for a number of years. When I was hired by the Housing Authority, it was something that I began to delve into pretty quickly and saw that there were a lot of issues there. So as I said, it's taken us 4.5 years, but it became one of my number one goals very quickly, that I wanted the whole thing under our umbrella. And as I delve in, it was kind of easy to get the lenders and DHCD in the state and kind of everyone in our corner, because as I said, taxes weren't filed. They actually had lost their nonprofit status. Things just, as the managing agent, we only had certain powers. We were beholden to the board. That was non-existent when I arrived. So all of those issues from the past have been resolved, and now we'll be able to really utilize the Newburyport Affordable Housing Corp as I think it was initially intended, a decade ago when in its inception. But somewhere along the line, it went awry a little bit. I don't know. I wasn't around during that time. I just know what I found.
You don't
and-
want to know. We don't want to
Right,
go
yeah.
back down that path. I assure you.
That's what I'm a forward-looking person, and to be at this stage where it actually comes under our umbrella, and we actually have the power to now partner with different groups and leverage things, and even mortgage on. I really see a bright future with this. It's a development arm that the Board of Commissioners at the Housing Authority have wanted for years and years and years, and I think that's how it was initially laid out. It never came to fruition, and now I feel like it actually may really be able to come to fruition. So I'm again, long time coming, but I'm ecstatic about it.
No, Tracy, I'm thrilled because in my conversations, regarding the property, when we reached out directly to the state because of, the concerns, and, they were, really pleased that Newburyport was so concerned about these affordable properties and where they were and what was happening, and, sort of ran through a list of potential options for the state in terms of transferring or the properties over to the housing authority. So again, long time coming. Thank you for sticking it through. I really am grateful. I think that this makes a lot of sense. I would like to have a conversation with you offline about what this means in terms of becoming a development arm of the board.
Absolutely.
And how are the vacancies in these properties?
There aren't any. We don't have vacancies. Our last move out, she actually moved back to her home state of, I think it was Ohio, and that was 3 years ago. Our residents come and they stay. And these are also project-based Section 8, but they can actually take their Section 8 with them should they so choose, and nobody leaves. Again, I don't mean to toot our horn, but the properties are very, very well run because we have been managing them.
Mm-hmm.
The residents are generally quite happy. We have had some issues where, for instance, a washing machine goes down and I don't have the power under the management agreement to change out a $500 washing machine. And I go back and forth with the chairman of the board for 8 months over a washing machine. Those types of things are over. I will just change the washing machine and the residents won't have to wait. And, so there was a lot of silliness that went on because we just didn't have the power to run the properties as well. I will say that one of the things that we pushed for, and I was pleased that she stepped up. My predecessor at the authority, Christine Cashman, did step up and take on the chairmanship because there was no board in place. And so I needed a board in place in order to move forward with, I don't know, lack of a better word, the takeover. And she did step up for us, and things have definitely improved and moved over the last year with her in the chairmanship role. And things have gotten better. And I have that chairman who will sign, who will move forward. And we've worked with some wonderful attorneys. The previous chairman, I really haven't had a lot of contact in the last 18 months. But that's basically because the lenders in DHCD said, you don't have a choice. This is the direction we're moving in. So, I'm just pleased that we were able to get some residents in the city who are willing to step up and do the right thing and help us move it forward, because without them, I'd still be floundering. And what would have happened is that we would have lost those units. The state would have taken them back, or the lenders would have taken, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. So I'm thrilled.
So when you say they could be a development arm, could you
Yes.
explain that a little bit?
So this is now the Newburyport Affordable Housing Corporation. Once the nonprofit status is reinstated, which it will be, it becomes the nonprofit arm of the Newburyport Housing Authority. So we will be able to conduct business in a different manner. There won't be the restrictions of the housing authority. We will be able to work with partners. We will be able to, hopefully develop at some point for affordable units, for instance, in the city that may be lost. It may be an opportunity. There may be opportunities for NAHC to actually purchase those and then, and work with the Affordable Housing Trust more and not lose some of those units. So, I mean, I have high hopes. We're not there yet, but I do believe that we will get there just by bringing it under our umbrella and having a strong board and having full financial control. That it puts us in a really different position at the authority to do things that we've always wanted to do, but we didn't have the mechanism to do it.
That is really good news.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Tracy, have you had an opportunity to talk to David Hedison again at the Chelmsford Housing Authority?
David and I are very, very close. We speak quite a bit.
Okay.
And David, he is the executive director that all executive directors aspire to be. So David he knows where we're at in this process. And he will definitely be a mentor to help me grow this and expand it. Because as I said, he's the guru of it. What he's been able to do in Chelmsford Housing Authority under his development arm and his nonprofit is absolutely amazing. So my hope is, that he'll be a guiding hand for us. And he's very excited for us because a lot of housing authorities won't undertake this. So he's really excited, and I know he's going to be super helpful to us.
Well, I think that's great, Tracy, and I applaud you and give you a lot of credit for taking the initiative and following through on this. So you've been
I appreciate that.
doing great work on behalf of the city.
Thank you. We're trying. We're trying. Does anybody have any other questions in regards to, I will compile at some point, when we're finally there, probably a 3 to 5 year plan. Once we get our arms around the financials a little bit better, I'd like to know what kind of profits. We don't make a ton, but one of the things I will do is raise the rents at the properties because I can under the Section 8 program. I have money to do that, which will bring more funds into NAHC. So that we can, be more profitable so that if we do want a mortgage or move forward, we can do those kind of things. So, there are some plans I have in play. I see them in 21 and 22. It's taken us a long time to get here. So I don't, nothing overnight, as they say with government. It's a little slow, but we do have plans, and I have a really supportive board that's totally ecstatic about this as well. So it's good stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent. I like it. Anyone else have any other questions?
No. Thank you.
Well,
so
thank
much,
you.
Tracy. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yes.
you. And Mayor Holliday, I really want to thank you because I know that the state reached out and there were other people interested, and I know you supported us, and I really, really appreciate that.
Well, of course. We went through the list and, there were a few right off the top. I was like, no. But, and I'm glad to hear your voice. You're doing well.
I am. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Glad to hear that. All right. So, no, I think this is very exciting. And so and the entire merger, takeover, whatever, will be completed by January, you believe?
I'm hoping. I mean, right now it's in the federal government's hands because we'll be filing the final tax return. And taxes weren't filed for years, and that took us a long time to get our arms around. So the final tax return, which I believe is last year, should be completed and filed by end of October, November. At that point, the attorneys will be putting in we've been in constant contact, of course, with the feds. We'll be putting in our formal request for reinstatement of the nonprofit, which we know we will get. We have letters, we have the backing of everybody, the state, as well as the lenders already. And then then we wait. Then we're hoping by the end of January. Bylaws, though, officers, all of the formal paperwork for NAHC has been completed, voted on by both boards. NAHC will probably have their first formal board meeting November, December, and hopefully our nonprofit we can't do anything until that nonprofit status is fully reinstated.
Right.
But all the hard paperwork, all the hard stuff has been done.
Excellent.
Great.
Good job.
Wonderful
Tracy.
news.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Thank you for having me. I was really excited to let you guys know this. I know that, hopefully in the future we can do a lot together. That's my hope.
Yes, that'd be great.
I'm already thinking.
Good. Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks so
thank you
much.
all.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank
Have
you.
You bet. Have a great night, everyone.
You too.
You too. Okay, next on the agenda is updates from the planning office. So should we talk about home funds first? So the application deadline is next week, the 23rd. And I have a few questions about it, and maybe some of the other members know more than I do. Just in my little knowledge of home funds is that there's a lot of qualifications in terms of if you give money to, the units that you create have to fall under certain, more than just income guidelines, but there's certain federal, verification levels. Because I was thinking, okay, maybe we can set up and use our $75,000 for just a general rental assistance program. Why don't we just file an application, ask for the money? And I don't know if we could have Pettengill administer it the way they're administering our other funds, because, we don't have the staff to administer something like that. But would we run into the just insurmountable qualifications for tenants for the household because it's home funds? I don't know.
Hi, Judy, it's Caitlin. I was thinking the same thing. I had a quick email exchange with Kevin Hurley, and I know other communities are putting their funds towards a rental assistance during this time. And so I thought perhaps if the group was comfortable with that, then maybe you and I can have a conference call with him to talk it through a little bit more, maybe next week, if you would be open to that.
Sure. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Anybody else have any?
Well, I mean, it would be interesting to talk to a community that's already doing it. Because Kevin's going to have one perspective. He's going to have the monitoring, perhaps. The municipality might have.
Oh, you're fading in and out,
Oh,
Madeline.
am I? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, if possible, it might be helpful to talk to a municipality that has been doing this. You might get a different perspective than you do from Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin was saying how normally they wouldn't be having the funds be put towards this use, but given the COVID situation, he's seeing a lot of requests for this. And so I don't know if there's been a lot of communities that have done this in the past, but perhaps that's something we can talk with him about, if he has any examples we could draw upon.
Yeah, I guess I had thought that it had stopped being an eligible use of the consortium funds. I'm not 100% sure of that, but yeah, so I mean, I think starting talking to Kevin is the best place. I mean, maybe no other municipality has been doing this, a sort of a small program like we would be doing. Maybe this is a new use with the consortium funds. So I mean, my understanding is that home is very cumbersome, very bureaucratic, but maybe it's worth it. I'm a little concerned just that we don't seem to be getting the response that we thought we might get with the program that we're already administering. I mean, it's not only getting the word out, but getting the paperwork done. And, it just doesn't seem like it's, I mean, maybe it is successful. I don't know. The numbers don't suggest that. So I'd hate to give up this $75,000 if there is a need. Clearly I mean, my guess is that there is a need, but are we going to have the capacity? Is Pettingill going to have the capacity? All that
Right.
seems uncertain.
Can we utilize it for not just rental assistance or emergency rental assistance, but for homeowners as well?
That's something I can check with him on. I do see that there is one community that says they've used it before with a priority for homelessness. So perhaps there can be I think more conversation with Kevin would be beneficial, just to see, what the restrictions would be and if he has any ideas of what's been successful in other communities.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely be available for that.
Okay.
My schedule's flexible.
Or even small landlords too, you know what I mean? I mean, there's a whole bunch of people in need right now.
Yep.
I think at one point, I could be wrong. I mean, I used to go to those North Shore Home Consortium meetings many moons ago. And I think small communities were using it for down payment assistance. I mean, it's limited, I believe, to 80% area median income. So I don't know who's going to be buying a home in Newburyport that has 80% area median income, but.
I was thinking about, I'm not sure when the timeline for the Minko property with the 86 units is going to open, but that's all rental. And that, we had talked about at one point to help with first and last month's rent or security or whatever. And, that could be a program to help, get people into those units. And I see the need. I just, don't know where the economy is at this point in terms of people, I know he has signs up for, rentals coming soon, and I will reach out to Karen to see if in fact they are getting inquiries at this point, but I still think the rent's going to be high there for some people, especially if they have to come up with first, last, and even a security. And that could be something we could really use the money to help support to get people into those units.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's an
I believe that's going to be very
concept.
popular. I get inquiries probably every week about that project.
You do?
Yep.
Do you know, Caitlin, when their target date to be completed? I mean, they're moving along, despite, COVID and all. I mean, there was a lull for a while, but there seems to be good activity happening there now. Do you have any idea when what the timeline is at this point?
I can check with Karen and see what her her current
This is
timeline
Andy.
is.
I can speak
Probably
to that,
spring.
actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
They were aiming for spring of next year to open that first building, and they were hoping, depending on the economy, like the mayor said, it's unclear what's going to happen, but try to basically roll right into the next building right after that. So
You're talking about this spring?
This coming spring for the
Yes.
opening of the first building, and then the second, they were hoping to just kind of roll in construction to the second site for the second building they have permitted, but they're not quite sure. It depends on the economy.
Thanks, Andy. So that potentially these home loans the timing could be perfect. By the time everything gets set up and, this opens in the spring and people start applying, it could really dovetail nicely with being able to help. Because there's 84 units, Andy? Caitlin, how many? 84 units?
The first one I think is ended up being 72. There was a reduction.
Oh,
in that one.
right. I forgot about the lawsuit.
Yeah, I think the second one is 84.
Shadows on businesses that now have left. Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So about 72, I think, in the first one, and then there's I think 84 in the second. So it's a
Okay.
good number.
72 is huge. 72 more than we currently have. That's for sure.
Right, right.
So would the group be open to bringing those 2 suggestions up to Kevin to see what he thinks? And then if he is favorable towards one or other, we can submit something?
Sounds good to
Yep.
me.
Yep.
I think it's a good idea, Donna. I like that one a lot.
Me too.
It might be easier to administer if it was focused on specific properties.
Right. Okay, good.
With a sophisticated landlord.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that is definitely a good idea. So Caitlin, I am available. Just let me know.
Okay.
I'm very,
And
very
remember,
open.
Minko said he used to work for a housing authority, right? Remember
That's
when he
right.
met with
Oh
us?
God, yes, he reminds us every time we see him.
It's okay.
Okay, next on the agenda, we should,
Do you want me to run down any more updates? I kind of laid them out in the staff report.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the unit that's available at
oh, right, the Foundry
Foundry.
unit.
We don't
Yeah.
want to lose that again. We need to
No.
cover that. Yeah.
This is Andy. I'm sorry. I'm going to step out for another meeting, but keep on going. Thank you.
Andy, I assume when you start your meeting, this one will end abruptly.
No, well, I'm hoping that the setting change that I made will help to avert that. But
Okay.
yeah, so
Great.
hopefully everything will be fine.
Okay.
Okay,
So
talk.
yes. So we have one more. We have a unit at the Foundry that is being put up for sale. Unit number 10. Been in contact with Sharon Riley at DHCD. I have a phone call with her on Monday. Been in contact with the homeowner. And so things seem to be progressing. It's at the early stages right now. So that's where we are with
we
that
used
one.
to have a realtor who helped us out,
Yep.
Carrie Perry. Do we have somebody now? I know, Suzanne, you've mentioned, I forget the gentleman's name, but somebody who would be.
Brian.
Yeah, Brian. Is that something we can, engage him to do?
Yeah, so I think we can fully reach out to him and let him know we have this on the horizon, so he's ready to go when we give him the word. And I have his contact information from Suzanne.
I don't remember how we did it before. Did we pay a full commission or a partial commission or whatever it was? We didn't have the
Partial.
partial. The trust paid it instead of the owner.
Right.
So it might be worth pulling out that, if you can find that previous MOU that we had, and maybe we can do that again.
Take a look.
Woodman Way went under agreement. I see.
Oh, good.
The affordable unit. Yeah.
And just a couple other updates. So the 6C zoning ordinance amendment that we spoke about a couple of meetings ago will be discussed at an upcoming planning board meeting. If we have time next week or the November 4th meeting. The fiscal year 21 CPA grants are expected to be out for signature maybe next week. Judy, if you're available, I have the down payment assistance one ready if you wanted to stop by at some point next week when you're free.
Sure.
The annual CPC public hearing, the public information meeting will be on October 28th. And then as per usual, the next grant round will be open in February. We're going to go ahead and apply for a DHCD Housing Choice Grant and Mass Development Site Readiness Grant, probably once we speak to Mass Development on Monday, in relation to upgrading the heating systems for the Brown School. We went over home funds.
Can I
have-
interrupt with that one?
Go
So,
ahead.
I feel a little out of the loop on where things are at with the Brown School. I know youth services is staying there. Is that correct? And then kind of what's the next step?
Yeah, at this point, let me pick up from here because we had MLA who was hired to do the feasibility study for both Brown School site for youth services as well as the Low Street site. We were in sticker shock once the feasibility study came through. I think initially it was 10 million to renovate Brown School for youth services and 11 for the Low Street site. So we all took a deep breath and went back and said, well, could you do something that's a little less, you know, extreme for the Brown School? Could you give us something that's a little more affordable? But you know, really what, and they're finishing the report and I will send it out to all of you when it's, we had a meeting on Friday. They're tweaking their presentation, which will be in mid-November at some point. But the biggest issue that we have with Brown School right now is that because we are in the situation we're in terms of the economy, there is, you know, we had talked about the possibility that we could bond for the fire station needed repairs and we could do a debt exclusion for the Brown School. Absolutely not. There's no way that we can even consider asking the residents of Newburyport to look at a debt exclusion at this point. So when MLA did their feasibility study of the Brown School, there is tremendous amount of work that needs to happen to sort of protect the building going forward. Envelope work, repointing, brickwork, windows, roof work, and the number one, which is the biggest concern, is the heating system, which, you know, we've been really keeping together with duct tape and spit. Thank you, Mike Bartlett. But in the ideal world, what we said would be wonderful is if we were at the same juncture in terms of issuing an RFP for the Brown School renovations as well as housing at the same time. They could collaborate on the heating system and some of these needs for both uses. I know that's a pipe dream, but I can still hope that we might be able to coordinate something like that.
Excuse me, Mayor. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I'm getting some frantic texts from Andy that he needs to start another meeting and he was hoping that his setting change would work, but he needs to ask me to end the meeting immediately to start his public meeting.
Okay.
I'm very sorry.
Okay, well, next time, Caitlin, why don't you use my account?
Okay.
And then I'll you know, transfer you to be host, and then we won't into this. I didn't know this was still a problem. I thought we had changed it. So sorry about that. But I'll send out an email then and give you an update on where we are.